The last time I spoke to my high school crush, he was sitting in his truck about to drive away, and when I finally found the nerve to say, "I wish things were different," he just smiled and said, "Me too." Then he drove off without looking back, and I never saw him again. Let me take you back to the summer of 2005 in a small town outside Columbus, Ohio. I was 18, fresh out of high school, and still stuck on the same guy I'd been crushing on since sophomore year. His name was Ryan Tate. He wasn't the quarterback or some perfect popular kid. He was quiet, funny when he wanted to be, and he had this old red Ford pickup that always smelled like gasoline and pine air freshener. We were never officially a thing. Not really. But we talked late at night, hung out in parking lots after football games, and had that weird in-between relationship that felt real, but never got the label. Looking back, maybe that was on me. I was scared to ask for more, scared I'd lose him completely if I pushed too hard. The last time I saw Ryan, we were both parked outside the Dairy Queen. He had just finished a shift working for his uncle's landscaping company. I stood beside his open window, heart pounding, while he sat behind the wheel like he had somewhere better to be. I finally got the nerve to say it. "I wish things were different." He looked at me for a second, then gave me the soft, half-smile. "Me too." Then he drove off. Didn't even glance in the mirror. That was it. He left for some tech school out in Indiana a few weeks later. I never heard from him again. I moved on, or I thought I did. I got married at 25, had 2 kids, divorced at 34 after finding out my husband had a second phone, and a second life with some woman from his job. That broke something in me. I started looking back at the past, wondering what would have happened if I'd just said something sooner to Ryan. If we'd stayed in touch. If any of it would have mattered. Then, this past winter, I went back home to help my mom after her hip surgery. She still lives in the same house I grew up in. Same street. Same neighbors. Same gossip. One afternoon, I was walking my mom's dog past Ryan's old house. It was boarded up.
Overgrown gras.
Broken swing on the porch. I didn't think much of it until I ran into Marlene, our old neighbor who always had something to say about everyone. "You know what happened to Ryan, right?" she asked. I didn't. That's when everything started unraveling. And that's when I realized Ryan didn't just disappear. He made damn sure I'd never find him again. I stood there on the sidewalk holding the dog leash, feeling like the air got sucked out of my chest. "What do you mean, what happened to Ryan?" I asked Marlene. She gave me that smug little look like she'd been waiting years to be asked. "Oh, honey, he got run out of town." "You didn't hear about that mess with the Foster's girl?" I didn't say anything, just stared. She leaned in, whispering like we were in church. He and that Foster girl, Melissa, the youngest one, they were seeing each other behind her fiancé's back. Whole thing blew up. Her daddy found out and made sure Ryan couldn't show his face in this town again. Heard he left in the middle of the night. Just packed up and vanished. I felt sick. Melissa Foster was my friend. Or at least I thought she was. We used to sit in the same lunch circle. We shared eyeliner, traded CDs, gossiped about teachers. And all that time, she was sleeping with Ryan? I didn't want to believe it. Not at first. Maybe Marlene had it wrong. She lived off drama. But when I got back to my mom's house, I did what anyone would do. I opened Facebook and typed in Melissa Foster. She still lived nearby. Married, 2 kids, real estate agent. Same smile, same shiny hair, same fake little life. Then I searched for Ryan. Nothing. No Facebook. No Instagram. No LinkedIn. No wedding photos, no baby announcements. Not even a tagged photo from anyone we used to know. It was like he'd been erased. The next day, I drove to the bar where some of our classmates hung out just to see if I'd run into anyone from back then. I spotted Cody Hargrove at the pool table. He'd been Ryan's best friend, or close enough. He didn't recognize me at first. But once he did, his whole face changed. "You're her," he said.
"Damn."
"I always wondered if you ever found out." "Found out what?" He rubbed the back of his neck and looked away. "You and Ryan, he was never going to tell you. That's why he left." I pressed him. Hard. Didn't let him shrug it off. Finally, he told me. There was no tech school in Indiana. Ryan didn't go to college at all. He was sleeping with Melissa, yes, but not just her. There were others. One of them was my cousin Jen. Another was our math teacher's wife. He got caught when Melissa's fiancé found a burner phone in her glove box. The phone had pictures, texts, messages between her and Ryan and a few other names too. It caused a huge blowout.
Fights. Threats.
Melissa's dad and two of her brothers drove out to Ryan's trailer and trashed it. His tires got slashed. Someone lit a fire in his shed. The cops showed up but didn't do much. Small town politics. Ryan packed his stuff and left that night.
No bouvier.
No note. Dude was a mess, Cody said. But you? He said you were the one he didn't want to hurt. So he ghosted you instead. I couldn't feel my hands. All this time I thought he was the one who slipped away. I thought I messed up. I thought if I just told him sooner how I felt, maybe we could have had something. But it turns out, he made sure I never stood a chance. And Melissa, my so-called friend, knew everything. She sat across from me in class every day, laughed at my jokes, asked me if I had a crush on anyone. She even knew. She knew I liked Ryan. And she still did it. They all did. And none of them said a word. I left that bar shaking. Not from sadness, from something else. I wasn't just going to let it go. I wanted the truth. I wanted answers. And I wanted every single one of them to regret what they did to me. I couldn't sleep that night. My brain wouldn't shut off. Every memory felt different now. Every laugh. Every night I sat by the phone waiting for a call that never came. It all felt dirty, like it was soaked in lies. By morning, I had a plan. First, I drove to the realty office where Melissa worked. I didn't go inside. I just parked across the street and waited. She came out around noon, dressed like she was headed to a country club lunch. Tight dress, big sunglasses, fake smile. She got in her SUV and pulled away. I followed her. My hands were sweating so bad, I could barely hold the wheel. She pulled into the drive-thru at Starbucks. I stayed behind, out of sight, then waited until she got out at the Target next door. I walked in after her, caught her near the seasonal aisle, and said her name. She turned around slow, like she already knew it was me. Wow, she said. I didn't expect to see you back in town. I didn't smile. You knew I liked him. Her face didn't even twitch. She just looked bored. High school drama, she said, brushing a hair from her shoulder. That was what? 20 years ago? You slept with him behind my back. She laughed.
Laughed.
Everybody did, she said. You were the only one who didn't know. It hit like a punch. I didn't even have a comeback. Just stood there. Look, she said, stepping closer. Ryan wasn't some innocent. He played us all.
But you?
You weren't even in the game. You were the backup. The one he cried to when the rest of us left him hanging. I don't remember walking out. I don't even remember driving back to my mom's house. I just remember sitting in her driveway staring at the cracked windshield of my rental car, thinking about every moment I'd shared with Ryan. That night, I pulled out an old box of letters and notes from high school. I hadn't touched it in years. Buried at the bottom was something I forgot I had, a burned CD Ryan made me. It had a note on it, for when the nights feel too quiet. I hadn't listened to it in forever, but I still had an old boombox in the garage. Track 4 started with a recording. Not a song. A voicemail. Ryan's voice. Hey, if you're listening to this, I guess I chicken out telling you in person. I'm leaving town tonight. I screwed up. And you deserve better than what I did. Just know I never meant to hurt you. My stomach twisted. What exactly had he done? Because the cheating? That was bad. But something in his voice sounded like there was more. Like something worse. And the next day, I found out what it was. I went to visit my cousin Jen. The one Cody said had also been with Ryan. We hadn't talked in years, but she invited me in like no time had passed. She had a dog, 2 kids, a tired look on her face. Like life hadn't gone the way she'd hoped. We sat in her kitchen while her youngest napped. I need to ask you something, I said. She looked up from her coffee. Was it true? You and Ryan? She didn't answer right away. just stared at the table. Yeah, she said finally. But it wasn't what you think. What was it then? She let out a long breath, like she'd been holding it in for years. I was 17.
He was 20.
I thought he liked me. I was stupid. Then she looked up at me, eyes sharp. He had pictures. My heart stopped. What kind of pictures? She didn't say anything. Just stood up, opened a drawer, and handed me an old flash drive. I kept them, in case he ever came back. I didn't want to plug it in. I didn't want to know. But I had to. Back at my mom's house, I opened the files. Dozens of photos. Girls we went to school with.
Drunk.
Passed out. Half-dressed. Jen was in a few. Melissa was in more. I wasn't in any. But one folder was named Someday. I opened it. Inside were screenshots of my MySpace page. Old photos. Notes I'd written him. A poem I didn't even remember writing. And then a video. Just a few seconds long. It was me, standing outside his truck that last night, saying the words I'd never forgotten. I wish things were different.
And Ryan smiling. Me too.
He'd recorded it. He kept it. All these years.
Why?
What the hell was he planning? And where was he now? Because if he was still out there, I was going to find him. And I was going to make sure he regretted every second of what he did. I didn't know what to do with that flash drive at first. My hand shook every time I looked at it. But the more I thought about it, the more something inside me hardened. This wasn't just about heartbreak anymore. This was about what he did to those girls. To my cousin.
To me.
Ryan had spent years hiding. But I was done hiding from the truth. I needed to find him. I started with old phone numbers. None worked. Then I called Cody again. He was drunk when he picked up, but I got enough out of him. Last I heard, Cody slurred. He was in Kentucky. Lexington maybe. Changed his name. Working construction. Nobody talks to him anymore. I knew someone who might. Melissa. She still had that smug, fake smile on her face when I showed up at her open house that weekend. I waited until the last guests left, then closed the door behind me. We need to talk, I said. Her eyes narrowed. This again? I held up the flash drive. Her face went pale. You think your life's safe? You've got kids now, a husband, a reputation. But these pictures, these videos, he kept them all. If I have them, who else does? What do you want? She whispered. His address. It took her 10 seconds. She scribbled it down and handed it over like she was giving me the keys to hell. I left without saying a word. A week later, I drove 6 hours to Lexington. I had no plan, just fire in my chest and 20 years of questions. The address led me to a dusty 2-story rental near a junkyard. A red pickup, older, beat up, but familiar, sat in the driveway. I knocked. He opened the door in a white tank top, jeans, and bare feet. Same eyes. Same smirk. And the second he saw me, the color drained from his face. Alyssa. Surprised, he stepped back. You shouldn't be here. I stepped inside anyway. The house was quiet. No pictures on the walls. Just beer cans, old furniture, and boxes he hadn't unpacked. It smelled like oil and stale smoke. I didn't waste time. I know everything. Melissa.
Yen.
The pictures. The video of me. He didn't deny it. Didn't even look ashamed. You were the only one who didn't hate me, he said. I liked keeping that version of you.
Clean.
Before everything got ruined. That version of me is dead. He shrugged. Then what do you want now? I pulled out my phone. Pressed play. His voice filled the room. The voicemail from that burned CD. I screwed up. You deserve better. You recorded everything, I said. But now I'm recording. He took a step forward. Delete it. No, he laughed. What are you going to do? Post it online. Ruin me? No one gives a damn what happened 20 years ago. You sure about that? I sent the files to every woman I recognized in the pictures. Some of them responded right away. A few cried. One threatened legal action. I told them all where he was. Then I drove home. I didn't stop there. I printed every photo, every screenshot, every piece of proof, and mailed it anonymous envelopes to Melissa's husband, Jen's church group, Ryan's boss, and the police department in our hometown. Melissa's husband left her within the week. She lost her job 2 weeks later after a neighbor found her open house packages dumped in a dumpster. Her name went around town like wildfire. Jen tried to deny everything until the photos showed up in her PDA inbox. She stopped returning my calls. I figured she'd deal with her shame on her own time.
And Ryan?
2 months later, I saw a news article online. He'd been arrested. Turns out one of the girls in those old pictures had been underage. The investigation spread fast. More girls came forward. Some even younger. The police raided his house, found more footage on an old hard drive. He's facing decades. I went to the hearing. Sat in the back, quiet.
He saw me.
Looked right at me as they cuffed him. I didn't smile. I didn't blink. But I hope he understood that I had been the one to bury him. I didn't tell anyone what I did, not out loud. I didn't post it online. Didn't rant about justice. This wasn't about clout.
It was about peace.
I went home, sat in my backyard with a glass of wine, and watched the sun go down. For the first time in 20 years, I didn't wonder what could have been. I knew. And I made damn sure the people who broke me would never break anyone else again. Even me.